Okay, so now what I was saying with COVID. So if somebody dies in the hospital, now in the UK, the proposal is that the body just goes straight to the funeral home. The doctor signs a death certificate, and that's that. There's no review. So it looks like they want to cut out the coroner. That's worrying. The reason why that's worrying is that means that mortality statistics will not be collected. Much like when I had to deal with nursing home deaths, these were again skewing mortality statistics. So whatever statistics a person collects, it's up to the powers that be at the top on whether they will be published or whether they will be included in their criteria or not included. So it's never an accurate picture, really. It's not, unfortunately. It just depends on the powers that be and the level of political interference. So let's just say a person dies in the hospital now. Maybe it's a healthy young woman giving birth, and she dies. So a healthy young woman giving birth would already raise a red flag for me. Like if that was my case, I'd be definitely ordering an autopsy and really looking into it as to what happened. This is not normal. But no, now this person would probably just get a death certificate signed and off they go. So there would be no looking into this, which is frightening. And the other thing is if it's, especially if it's an old person, let's just say, who maybe gets slammed with a do not resuscitate order that is counter to their wishes. Perhaps they want to have resuscitation measures. However, due to political circumstances, someone else decided to make it a do not resuscitate order without their consent. And now there's no one to check that at the end. So if somebody dies and they were not resuscitated when they could have been, or measures could have been used to try and save them, they'll just get fobbed off, kind of thing. This is worrying. And so this is what I mean when statistics are not always correct, especially if there's a higher level of political interference, and particularly during a pandemic, things go all a bit tits up. So obviously they need to streamline things for funeral homes, as it's going to be very, very difficult. They'll need to move bodies quickly out of the hospital morgues because the capacity is just not there. And, obviously for the safeguarding of the people that work there, having a whole whack of bodies sitting outside of the available crypts is really kind of dangerous. So I understand expedited measures, but I don't agree with removing the clinical audit or the independent audit of their care. So if there is that person reviewing their hospital stay and their death, and if they're satisfied that their death was as a result of all appropriate measures being used and there was no medical mistakes, there was no negligence or obvious negligence, then that's okay. They can go quickly. It can be done quickly. It doesn't take that long to do a clinical review if it's straightforward. Each person probably took me about an hour, depending on the length of the chart. So, I could get through eight or 10 cases a day, depending. So it's not a big deal to actually do a review. So it's worrying. And so when you see these coronavirus stats around death and mortality and causes of death, they might be skewed because of political interference from the top. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. And that was one of the reasons, the biggest reason why I left my job, because me and a few coroners that I worked with, we all kind of left at the same time because we were burning out, because we would see things that we knew needed to be looked at and they weren't getting looked at. So unless these people who died had strong advocates, then no, sorry, they would be brushed under the rug, I guess, just buried or cremated or whatever. So yeah, it was very difficult. So I just wanted to make people aware of how that process generally works and why it's so important, so incredibly important to keep the coroner's involvement in any unnatural deaths, and to have somebody always do a review on mortality that's independent of the clinical staff. Yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. It's difficult times, but the only plus side is that, if somebody dies in a hospital where the staff themselves are very good, the doctors are very good, and there's a high morale, and the doctors have a high level of ethics, and the hospital has a good reputation, then you can probably be safe that they will have tried everything. Not all hospitals have outstanding reputations like some, so those ones, there's hospitals that are in special measures, so you want to keep an eye on them, but right now it looks like that's not going to happen. So it's worrying. It's very worrying. Anyway, I've blabbed on too long, but that's basically how it goes after you die. So that's why, having the coroner as a safety net and having a clinical audit as a safety net is really important. Nobody should die without a review of their treatment, and they shouldn't die as a result of negligence, basically, or anything that's unnatural. Anyway, guess that's it.